All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Keep your views coming at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. You're talking about all matters, politics, and everything in between there. Let me bring in Ogola and Omomolo on this, Philip Omolo. The issue of the running mate question. Will it be based on the ethnic arithmetic from where you stand?
Yeah, I think I've seen a lot of debates about ethnicity in Kenya, ethnicity in African nations. And before we really, as he has put it, before we really demonize ethnicity, ethnicity is basic identity. I think what we need to quickly think about is when we talk about democracy as a form of organizing government, what is democracy? Democracy came up in very economically developed societies. Before Western Europe, before America was developed, there were not democratic institutions. We know that there were monarchs and the dictators. The biggest dictators of the world were in Western Europe. Don't forget about Hitler and his team. Don't forget about Mussolini. Even the big wars that have been fought in the world, right from around 1500 in the Habsburg Kingdom, you come all the way to Napoleon Bonaparte. All those were totalitarians. They were not democracies. The first experiment with democracy comes in around 1776 upon the American people making what they call the Declaration of Independence. So Thomas Jefferson, people like George Washington and his group of people. These are the people who first rejected the monarch. They rejected the emperor's seat and drafted a constitution. The oldest constitution, as you all know, is the Constitution of the United States of America. But at the time when they were experimenting with this, what was the state of the economy? What was the state of development generally? So democracy emerged from those environments where states, functional states, strong states, were already in place. Then democracy comes in as an institution of accountability, just like courts, institutions of accountability. But who is being held accountable? A strong, capable bureaucracy, a state that can get things done. So you put in democracy so that this state does not become a monster. The state is accountable to the people by renewing its mandate every 4 or every 5 years. The state is accountable to the court so that as we implement laws. Now, you fast track it around towards the end of the 19th century, the colonial folks come to Africa, they colonize Africans, and over a duration of about between 50 to 60 years, they erect these institutions of democracy, which did not grow up organically. Nonetheless, all scientific research, all social research show that there is no any other better form of governance other than democracy. Don't trust these totalitarians, dictators in China or dictators in North Korea. Don't trust them. Democracy is the way. But how do we deal with democracy in poor nations such as Kenya? In developed societies, the programs that candidates put forth on how to defend human rights, how to defend the constitution, how to provide water, how to build hospitals, that is enough to pull the masses to vote. You come to Kenya and other African nations that are still poor. It's not enough to tell people that you're going to defend human rights. People need bills paid, hospital bills. Somebody has a wife in the hospital, somebody has a child who is supposed to go to school and they don't have fee. People want food, handouts. You've seen now relief institutions and humanitarian institutions telling us that the entire northern district frontier in Kenya is facing starvation. People are physically, literally dying. When you go there, you don't preach to them human rights. You don't tell them that you will become president and put elaborate programmatic agenda to relieve them from. They want food and they want it now.
Yeah.
So if you are a politician and you want to mobilize people to the polling booth, you must meet them at their point of need. And what are those point of needs? This is what will bring in. No any other way of taking people to vote other than either bribing voters or appealing to ethnic cohesion or appealing to clan. And by the way, this ethnicity is not just at ethnic level. Go down to the county level, you'll find that people are divided along clans. That this clan wants deputy governor, this clan wants senate, this clan wants this. But all this is not the bedrock of our politics as Danstan Omari wants to put it. And I also want to make a correction that it is wrong to say that ODM is basically Luo and Kikuyus trying to come together. That is a very wrong assumption. ODM is a national party which has structures of governance across this country. The moment you say that ODM is a Luo affair, then where do we put the entire western region, which is the Mulembe nation? Where do you put them? They are, look at the counties in western region, right from Kakamega, Vihiga, Busia, Bungoma, even Trans Nzoia. They are having ODM governors, and more so, ODM still stands to even clinch those positions. As we speak today, go to the coastal region, you'll find a similar phenomenon. Go to the Maasai nation, right from Kajiado to Narok to Samburu, you'll find a similar phenomenon. So what is it that thrusts, for instance, Raila Odinga in the middle of both ODM and Azimio, which appeals to people, including in the eastern region? So to say that ODM is a Luo affair, or I think those are not only dishonest, but also demeaning to the struggles of the people of Kenya to build a political institution. The last thing that I would even put a question to the two gentlemen. Kenya has now emerged with a situation where we have two big political outfits, Kenya Kwanza, and then we've got Azimio with one Kenya alliance together. This is a sense of progress, that people are able to coalesce around particular leaders, because these leaders are an embodiment of some values and principles and maybe hopes and aspirations of the people of Kenya. So to cut it down and reduce it to ethnicity and say that if Raila goes to Homa Bay to bury a friend, that now is retreated to a tribal cocoon, I think that's a cheap argument, and it should not be allowed to go on record. All right, let me bring in Wamatangi on this. Wamatangi, you're going to face this yourself, because when you have to pick a running mate, what will you be considering? Is the ethnic arithmetic a big issue, considering yours is a cosmopolitan county?
To begin with, Trevor, there will be no ethnic considerations. You can't, and there are actually none. You know, for example, in a county like Kiambu, that doesn't apply. What you'd be looking at, and what essentially I'm looking at as a candidate for governor, is a very competent person, somebody who is able to agree with me largely on ideas, on the plans that we have. And no matter who they are, whether it's a woman, whether it's a man, you know, whichever community they come from, I think that's what I'm looking for. And I'm on the prowl. You can throw in me your CV. I asked you earlier whether you if you did dishing out jobs. If you did, Trevor, and you're interested, you just bring in your CV and we consider you on merit. Because what we want to do, and what I would like to do for the people of Kiambu, is to ensure that, as I've said, within this manifesto of mine, the things that we have promised here that we're going to do to the people of Kiambu, I want a partner who can partner with me, hold hands with me, and make sure that we make this a reality. And that will be victory for us. Let me correct something that has been said by my good friend and colleague, you know, on the other side. And it's, you know, the ideas are good that he fronts, but let's agree that part of what we want to do away with in our political journey to being a better country is to stop coalescing around people, around leaders. We want to coalesce around good ideas and ideals and parties that stand for something. Because one of the problems we've had in this country is that person-mentored, oriented political leadership, whereby you worship, you know, an individual, and you find that when he moves left, you expect that everybody will move towards that direction, whether it makes sense or it does not. We want to build a culture, political culture, whereby we question everyone and everything, and only uphold what measures up to what is best for country and for community and for county, for that matter. Now, on this question of tribal considerations, we need to agree first that the reality is that we have communities that are different based on ethnicity. And the battle has been, Trevor, to ensure that we take away the negativity around our ethnic backgrounds or where we come from. Because we've used it in you told me you are a good reader, and I love reading myself. If you have time, take a book called The True Believer and you can go through it. You catch some of these ideas around it. You know, this instilled hatred of people, of persons, the negativity around where we come from and our backgrounds is really what you find is the meat behind what now we call our tribalism.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm happier to hate you because of where you come from than to admit that we are two equal human beings who want the same thing.
Yeah.
And so until we learn to market and sell that to our people, so that we know that we are two different people who speak different languages, but ultimately the same person, and within the same country. Then you find that this story of are you going to be considering Trevor because he's a Luo, or Omari because he's a Kisi, or whatever, it will die. You know, it has no place. You know, in our modern day Kenya. I've seen the story that you're asking my Attorney General here to comment on this one on the front page of the Mulembe, you know, Nation Ultimatum, you know, whereby you find that, you know, largely there'll be reasoning as a community called the Luya community, which is okay, yeah, as long as the main consideration is not about the language they speak, but it is about the interests that their people have, that they're saying, are you going to be considering that we want to have our voice on that table so that we can have, you know, equality and equity and fairness and so on? But not just because that we are guys who speak a different language, yeah, and because that we are told we are this and that. I think that's one thing we have to run away from. So on the question of considering, because I think that's where this debate, you know, started from, on considering who would be the best running mate. Yes, that's why we have a constitution that requires that we have equality and equity. That's why we have a Senate and a National Assembly. That's why we have a majoritarian concept, you know, merged with an egalitarian concept so that we can have that equality. But ultimately, the best thing that we would be marketing for this country is when you're asking who is going to be Polycarp Igathe's deputy, when you're asking who is going to be Johnson Sakaja's deputy, who is going to be the running mate to William Samoei Ruto, it should not be that we are looking at this person just because he speaks this language, because he looks like this, or because he comes from a village somewhere, but ultimately that is the best Kenyan, but to represent the interest of that community or that people amongst other communities at equal, you know, standing. I believe that's our ultimate. That is why most countries have managed to succeed as democracies. All right. And I think the sooner we start marketing that, the better. Otherwise, for the running mates of this world and this country, I don't know. I'll be waiting for my AG here to explain well, because he said that the only two communities that are able to give running mates is the Kambas and the Luyas. You know, I didn't quite get that. I want to understand it so that when I'm looking for one, maybe you could convince me.
Understand why? Okay. And Omari, you know, is that where the deciding factor will be in the winning decision and the winning ticket on the running mate? Because none of them have chosen. All those who are called front horse runners, none of them have chosen the running mate. Is that the winning ticket? The decision, is that what will...
Trevor, this same question was put to me yesterday. Yeah. By my students of law at Catholic University. And the question one student asked me, explain this theory you are peddling. I told them that theory in class and explain the legal basis. Kenyans, if you look at the Standard, newspaper today, they have analyzed that story completely. That is page 14 and 15. They have analyzed that. What is the legal basis that forms the ethnic question being very critical? For one to be a president of this country, the first condition is that you must get 50 plus 1 vote. 50 plus 1 vote. It does not matter that plus 1 vote whether it comes from which ethnic or academic background. Number 2, you must at least get over 25% of the votes cast in more than 24 counties. That is another critical question, that you are not only going to carry votes from my county in Nyamira and think that you have 10 million votes from Nyamira County, imaginary, when you become the president. So those two parameters, then you look at which ethnic region or which ethnic community spreads across 15, 16 counties. When you look at the Mount Kenya region, they spread almost more than 20 counties in this country, and with a serious predominant presence in those counties, all the way from Meru, Chuka, to Embu, to Nyeri, to Nakuru, to even Trans Nzoia. You'll get them in Kajiado, you'll get them in Narok. That question of how spread are they? When you look at the Kambas ethnic distribution, they have a strong presence in Nairobi, they have a very strong presence in Machakos, Kitui. When you go to Taita Taveta, when you go to Coast region, that is a very strong presence. When you look at the Mulembe Nation, from their counties, 4 counties in Western Kenya, come to Nairobi, come to very many regions, you'll get their presence there. Leave the 3 communities, the 2 communities that are producing presidents. Really, the Kalenjin North, the Kamatusa, as they normally are brought in by these friends of ours, when they want the votes of the Gems, when they want votes of all those pastoralists, they will say, this is a party for the pastoralists, which captures everybody. So the question about ethnicity is so critical in 2 issues, numbers, and 2, also to get the 24 counties where you'll get 25%. So if William Ruto today appointed another Kalenjin from Baringo, will he be able to score those 2 constitutional requirements? No. In his county, the law as it is says he can pick anybody as a running mate. But when he'll form his cabinet, at least there must be some percentage of non-ethnic community from that county. It applies everywhere. That is why you see, at least in every county, there is one cabinet the chief officer who does not hail from that area. We, as Kenyans, gave ourselves the law to incorporate every ethnic community into that game. Otherwise, if it was not like that, one region can produce the president and another, and also a running mate, and the full cabinet from the face of the republic. So that is the basis. When you look at all the other communities, there are 5 communities in this country that constitute, by census of the Republic of Kenya, over 70% of the total population of this country. The Kikuyu, generally, they call themselves the Kikuyus when it is politics. The Merus all combined together. The Kalenjins, all of them combined together. The Kamba, the Luhya, and the Luo. They constitute more than 70% of the total population of this country. When your arithmetic of 50 plus 1 is put on the question mark, the barometer tells you that if you are able to have 2 of these mother tribes or mother ethnic communities, or 3 on your side, you have a head start.
Okay.
And that is exactly why I'm saying that the question has been analyzed very well. It is not that we are demeaning anybody. We are not saying that ODM has a bedrock in Luo Nyanza. We are saying the solid bedroom of every political candidate is his ethnic constituency, which they always run away from.
Okay.
But the reality is there. So, for example, tell me, if now I'm appointed as a deputy, a running mate for Kenya Kwanza or for Azimio, every Kisi will run to that party. I'm telling you for sure, because they are saying, Mutu wetu wako pale. How many are we? we are not numbers that will translate into somebody becoming the president. So I might be losing that position, yet I'm the most competent and qualified and articulative individual for that position.
Okay.
We need another discussion after this election on how to bring people like Trevor Umbija, people like Omari to get that position, because the law as it is, the law as it is, people don't come from those communities. Remember what happened to Dr. Ukuru Okot, a very brilliant Kenyan, Kiapi, a very brilliant presidential candidate. They were not able to start. Similarly, if you look at 22 years ago, there were more than 1,000 people wanting to be president. The battle has gone to 2 horses. The others have fizzled. Why? Numbers.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about now nominations. Because we're not going to agree on this.
Let me give you a framework in a quick soundbite. There's a science to politics. All the fellows you see succeed in politics, whether in Kenya, in Africa, or across the world, they have a few things that they own. And I want Danstan to listen to them so that he knows why Ole Kiapi or Dr. Ukuru Okot are not able to make it to the tournament that is being played by Dr. Ruto and Raila Odinga. Number one, for you to be a successful politician or a leader in the world, you must have a burning desire for change. A burning desire. It must be something pushing you out. That's why you saw Senator is already here in the morning. When you call this gentleman at short notice, he's already here. There's a burning desire to get things done. Number two, you must take time to conceptualize that change. What form should it take? Mental capacity. Number three, you must be present in the political environment. You cannot be that you've got a burning desire, you know what to do, but you are an ambassador in the US or you are practicing law privately. You will not make it. Number four, you must have the ability to share your desire with a critical mass of your fellow citizens and tell them that and mobilize them so that they join this journey. The last one, you must be able to mobilize resources to fund that change venture. Now, if you check those 5 things, so you throw Ole Kiapi there, you will find where he misses. Maybe he doesn't have the ability to mobilize resources to fund his venture. And you don't need to steal government resources or steal corporate resources to do it. Mobilizing, you could do it from your fellow citizens if they are deeply convinced about your burning desire for change, about your ability to conceptualize what that change is. So we keep talking about who ought to have been a good president. The other day we saw Dr. Muhisa Kitui came. And he had very brilliant ideas. But ideas alone are not enough. Russia's anger alone is not enough. You must go all full-blown and do those 5 things. Back to the issue of running mate. They are true in so many ways that the ethnic thing will apply. By the way, our constitution makes it very clear that the face of the executive in Kenya must show regional and ethnic diversity of the people of Kenya. It must show. If one runs as president, it then fulfills the spirit and the letter of our constitution that he looks for a running mate from other ethnic people or from other regions. Now, what happens in Kenya is that ethnicity and regions coincide. If you are in the western region, you throw a stone there, you are highly likely to hit a Luo or a Kisi or a Loya. If you are around Mount Kenya and you throw a stone there, you are highly likely to hit a Kikuyu or a Meru or Embu or the people of Tharaka Nithi or the Mbeere people. So let us not forget that our ethnicity also coincides with our regions. Okay. When you balance ethnicity, you also succeed in balancing our regions. Another thing that we can also not ignore, talent is not restricted to particular areas. Competence is not restricted to particular areas. You cannot tell us that, for instance, it's only the Luo who are competent in eating fish or in tailoring or, you know, those kind of bigotry. It is not true. Talent is spread across the country. Okay. If you are meant to include other people, then wherever you look, you will find people to include. So there are 2 principles which are found in Article 10 of our Constitution, which we call the national values. Inclusivity The people of Kenya want to be included.
Yeah.
A government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So what we usually forget, Senator, is by the people. However grand these ideas are, it must be done with them.
Yeah.
That is why now the issues of inclusivity come in, and also representation. People want to be represented in those tables of decision making, so that they can also put their voices
where it
in
matters.
how money is allocated.
Okay, let's talk about the nomination.